Good morning. We are back. Let me go. This is going to be the official coffee chat. So I did a quick little video before this where I was showing y'all some new stuff in my RV. And gosh, I'm trying to figure this out now. Anyway, I'm going to go do my sound check and we will get started. Let's see. Now later, this coffee chat will be available with a YouTube link. If anyone has any friends who are hearing impaired and who are part of the group, you'll be able to share it via YouTube link because they do auto captions. Okay, let's see. Make sure my sound is good.
I thought so.
Siri's talking to me.
I'm going to go do my sound check.
Okay, sound is good. We're good to go. Good morning, Mignon. Good morning, Gracie. How are you? I've got so many things geared up for this coffee chat. I am really excited about this one because I asked y'all if you... Boker Tov, Mary. Good to see you. You can always watch this later. This will be available later as well. And I asked if y'all wanted... Hey, Dot, if y'all would send me in questions that you may have. And I got some amazing questions. I'm really looking forward to answering these today. Let me get my... I have a little... I have this set up over here in hopes that I'm not looking down all the time. Good morning, Brother Chuck. How you doing? Hey, Dottie. Good to see all of y'all. So, I got some great emails. And I have, let's see. These are all the emails. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have like 10 emails that I'm going to be answering today with some great questions. Good morning, Christine in Kansas. How are you? Morning, Philip. So we will just dive right into those. First of all, I do want to tell you something. Let me look at the latest numbers on the group here. Because I need to give y'all some very important information. So we have a matter of weeks until we start again. Morning, Carol. We have a matter of weeks until we start again. And currently, there are, just a minute, 2,777 people on the list waiting to get into the group. Now, let me tell you what's significant about these 2,777 people and why they're not in the group already. These are people who were invited to the group by you, by members of the group. And they haven't answered any of the membership questions. They haven't agreed to abide by the rules. They haven't done anything. So basically, most likely they missed the invitation. They don't even know they were invited. So they're basically in a waiting queue. So if you have asked any of your friends, if you have invited any of your friends to the group, you don't be passive about it. Call them. Tell them about the group. Tell them they've been invited. Tell them they need to go accept the invitation. And then they will be asked a simple question. Do you realize this is an overtly Christian group and kindness is expected from everyone? And they'll have to answer yes. And then they'll say, do you agree to abide by the rules? And they say yes. And that's it. And then we let them in. We don't just randomly let people in, even though they were invited, because you'll see when we get started. Y'all, this group's fixing to totally change. If you're new, get excited because you have no idea what this group is when it's actually in the active phase. It's a very encouraging group of believers. We have amazing discussions and it's just really builds you up. We are believers from all walks of life, but we come together in the things, we are of one accord in many things. Chief among that is our gratitude to our Savior and our love for our Father and our love and desire to pursue and know His Word. And this is where you're going to be encouraged to do that. This is where we're going to help you make that a habit. And it's such an important part of the Bible study is the fellowship itself and the community. And it's a wonderful thing that we very much need in our lives today. So I want to encourage you to tell your friends, call them on the phone today, send them a message, send them an email, because we have 2,777 people that members of this group have invited who are waiting to get in because they don't realize they've been invited. Good morning, Christy Howlett. How are you? Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Martha. Hey, Amy, how are you? Hey, Paula. It's good to see everybody here. Hey, Barbara K. Barbara Key. I'm sorry. I have a distance from my camera, Barbara. I can't. It's like when I wake up in the morning. Yes, I have the link to these shirts up above. This is my latest t-shirt design. I love this one, Wide Path Dropout, and I have the link in the description of this video. I love that one. It's one of my favorites, and that was a phrase that I got from my friend Ren, my sister in here. Yeah, the shirt is the second on the link list. Hey, Shannon, I got your email too. Good morning, Joan. Okay, so I have issued the call to action. Hey, Jennifer, if you have friends waiting to get in the group, you need to call them. If they're not currently in the group and you invited them, you need to call them because they haven't answered the questions. They haven't accepted the invite to get into the group. If you have anybody who wants to get in the group, the best thing you can do right now is send them a link. If they request to join, there's a simple yes question and a checkbox they have to check, and that's it. And they're automatically added. I have it set up for that. Once we begin January 1st, that's it. That's all she wrote. You got to wait another year. That's how it works. The Father begins His Word in the beginning, and so do we. And so that's what we're going to do. Everything builds on everything else. And if you miss the first day, the second day, the third day, the fourth day, the first week, you've missed a lot. And so we need that knowledge to build on everything else rather than having to rehash every day. So very important that you do that. Also, I've got a really exciting new thing for the Bible study this year. And I think those who have done this, we have people in here who've done this, who've read through the Bible with us 3 times now. And this is going to be exciting for you too. This is new. I am really excited about this because this is going to add a whole new level to the Bible study. It's going to make it a lot more accessible. It's going to make it a lot more doable for a lot of people. And that is beginning January 1st, if the Father is willing, which I believe He is. So we do need to pray for this. Each day's notes, you're going to have an option of reading them or listening to them on audio. I am starting today. I've got all the equipment. I've got it set up. Beginning today, I'm going to start recording each day's notes. And so at the top of the page, there'll be a little play button, and you can play it, and you can hear me read the notes to you. I think there's also going to be a download option. I've got to get in the technicalities of it. I've got to do some things to the server. We're going to have to increase the server size to be able to host all of these files. And so I've got several things I need to do. And then I have 365 recordings I need to make. I'm not going to be able to do them by the time we start January 1st, but I'll be enough ahead that we'll be okay. And then, so I would really like for y'all to pray for that, please. It's going to take a bit of effort. But I think this is something that is going to get more people excited about the Word and help get more people in the Bible and help the Father's Word come alive for more people. And so this is going to bring more honor and glory to our King. And that's exciting. Oh, wonderful, Shannon. Thank you so much. She said, that's big. My teenage daughters are doing this with me and they will really benefit from this. Thank you. Sue says that may be a game changer. Y'all, that gets me so excited. Thank you so much. That is such an encouragement to me. I'm also excited about it because you'll be able to hear my tone and my emphasis, and you'll be able to hear my heart a little more in the words. But then I've been working we have the most amazing group of admins for this group. We have a wonderful, everything in here is volunteer, right? And we have this wonderful team of admins who spent a great deal of their time praying for you, answering your questions, working behind the scenes, and really trying to help as much as they can. And they put hours in each week. And I've been working with them. Hey, here's what we're doing. Y'all test this audio file. See what you think and stuff. And oh my goodness, we're so excited about it. And I don't know where I was going with that. But anyway. Thank you. Carmen says, in your sweet Southern accent. It depends on the day. You know what's funny is my accent comes and goes depending on what I'm doing, what I'm talking about, and who I'm talking to. And we'll talk about this here. I'm a 9th generation Alabamian. We were here before it was even a state. But I find that when I'm trying to teach something, I used to do a lot of TV. I was editor at large. I did all the TV appearances for Southern Living for a while, and I would travel around the country doing TV. And my handlers were in New York, and the thing I would hear every week from my handlers is less twang, speak more clearly. And so I got used to when I was on camera, I would try to speak much more clearly and, so that everyone in multiple areas could understand me as well as possible. And then I would get different feedback from the producers of the different television stations I would visit. I was one I went to all the time in Houston. And the producer one day took me out to lunch and they said, what happens to you when you go on camera? Because we love your accent and the way you talk and stuff. When you go on camera, it's like this facade comes. I'm like, look, you just got to talk to my handlers because that's what they're telling me to do at corporate. So I do tend to go back and forth. Shannon says, I'm the same way with accents. My husband teases me about it. That's awesome. Oh, y'all, I am so encouraged. I'm so encouraged. I did not expect this level of excitement about the audio. I was thinking just a small minority. I was trying to serve a small minority here. And the fact that a lot of people are going to find it useful, that really encourages me a lot. Thank you so much. So let's dive into these emails. Scott says, I'm from Ohio and I understand you just fine. Oh, I've got the funniest story about me visiting Ohio. If I ever meet you in person, ask me about it. There's a lot of stories I'll only tell people in person because I don't want camera proof that people can share about it. Yes, Amy says, I'm all Alabama accent, no change it. And I love talking to Amy. I get to talk to Amy on the phone every now and then, and I just love hearing her talk. I have been here all of my life. But where I am has changed considerably since I was a child. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's different. And I was raised around people who have been here all their life. And Amy has that accent. When we went to on a field trip to Falls Mill. I love Falls Mill. It's in Belvedere, Tennessee. And I arranged this whole field trip for this big homeschool group a couple of years back. And this older gentleman was walking the kids around the mill, telling them the stories and stuff about it. And his voice was the voice of my people. It was the accent and the sound that I had grown up hearing in the background of my whole life, of my grandfathers and my uncles. And it was that accent, that old Southern accent. And I pretty much followed him around like a puppy the whole time. I was just straining to hear every syllable he said because it brought back, it just sounded like home. And Amy has that same accent. And when I hear Amy talk, my heart just sometimes my heart just clenches up because it's just a longing, for the old days. But I am grateful to be here now. Anyway, I'll get on. I'll stop rambling. Well, this whole chat's going to be me talking with you. It's just going to be chatting, answering your questions because I briefly read these emails and then I just printed them out. I haven't really given a lot of thought to my answers, so this is very much a chat and a conversation. There's one question. This is from Michelle. And Michelle, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, and I'm sorry for that. I apologize. Y'all are going to see a lot of that. Somebody pointed out the other day, one of my admins, when they said, I can't wait to hear the audio when you get to all those hard to pronounce names in Kings. And I thought, I didn't think about that. So that'll be interesting. Michelle, I think it's Shoemaker. I don't know. I'm sorry. She says, all your videos are so encouraging. I know you came from Southern Plate. Being a Lutheran all my life and still am, I understand how you can be told something over and over and believe it, but not ever researching it and reading the Bible for yourself. But listen, y'all, she's not knocking a denomination there. We're not knocking a denomination. We don't do that. She's just saying this is the perspective I came from. And so from this perspective, this is what I saw that surprised me. When I started the group at 50, I had never read the entire Bible start to finish. My question for you is, what church were you raised in, and are you affiliated with any church denomination now, or do you do all home study? Thank you so much for your time, notes, and encouragement to all of us. Okay, so I got this question in 3 different ways. So you're going to hear me reference this a lot, but I won't answer it again. I'll answer it this time. And I understand what you're asking. And I am happy to tell you my background here. I was raised, my parents didn't go to church. None of my family went to church growing up. None of my grandparents went to church. One grandmother went to church, and but they didn't live near us. And so when I was 12, and I've told this story before, so if y'all heard it before, please forgive me. It's like we're married. You have to hear your spouse's story over and over. When I was 12, there was a foster home 2 doors down from my house. And there was a church that would send a van to pick up the foster kids and take them to church. Well, we were down there one day and we asked if we could go too. And my sister and I. And so they let us ride with them. And then we said, can we keep going with y'all? And they're like, sure, we'll take you. So I don't know if we would just walk down to the foster home and get on the van. That was all our friends and stuff down there. So we started going to church on Wednesday nights and Sunday mornings when I was 12 years old. I may have been 11 because I was baptized at 12. But anyway, it was wonderful. And that was a Baptist church. And then I started going to, I started going to another, I had always gone to Baptist churches. We live in the Southeast. And it's kind of the Bible Belt. We have one stretch of road near us. It's about 4 miles. And one day I counted, 15 churches on it. There's one literally on every corner. Some corners have 2. And so I've always gone to Baptist churches. The last church that we were members of was technically a non-denominational church, but it was a member of the Southern Baptist Convention. So it's pretty much a Baptist church that just didn't have the title. Having said that, I have not been a member of a church in years. It's probably been since I started this walk. And by this walk, if you want to know what I mean, you'll know when you start reading with us. My favorite part of the Bible is Genesis 1 through Revelation 22. And you got to read that to know what I'm talking about. Now, having said this, that is not an indictment or anything against any of the wonderful churches we have in our world today. I'm so grateful for them. Any church that preaches the gospel of our Messiah, that upholds the Bible as the authority, I'm so grateful for them. And I pray for all churches to do that. We felt a great hunger to dive deeper into the Word. And that's not something, it was just something that we needed to do on our own. I'll leave it at that. I don't want to go to, I want to be very careful with my words because I don't want you, if this is the only snapshot you get of my life, and I'm speaking, you is a very general term, I'm not speaking to Michelle. Anyone watching this, if this is the only snapshot you get of my life, I don't want it to be that she doesn't go to church and doesn't think we should go to church. That's not it at all. That is not it. Me personally, my husband and I, we felt led to spend time in a different type of study of the Word. And so we became just very passionate about the Father's Word about 5 years ago. And this is where we are with that. So my husband, I recently retired a couple of months ago. And my husband, he still works full time. When he gets off work, we have supper and we sit down together and we talk about what I've read in the Bible. We talk about different things we found in the Bible. We read the Bible. We study the Bible. And sometimes we'll go sit on the porch. We'll talk about the Bible. We'll talk about the Father. We'll talk about what He's doing. You know, that's every weeknight. it's what we're just so passionate about it. And then on the weekends, we at Friday, when He's off work, that's it. We cut them ties to the world and we're done. And we spend all weekend pretty much studying the Bible, reading the Bible, talking about the Bible. It is our guidebook to life, and you know, that is our greatest passion. And so our greatest passion is following the Father and knowing His Word, because that tells us how to follow Him. So we have a home fellowship now. The Father, He's so good to us. He's so generous to us. He brought these like-minded people into our lives, and so we have 3 other couples, and then there's some other people who come on their own without their spouses, and we get together and we study the Word. We take turns reading the Word. We don't have a certain person who's over it or anything. We all get together and we read and discuss the Word each week, and this goes on for hours. There have been times we'll get together at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it'll be 8, 9 o'clock, and nobody wants to quit. We would just keep going and going because we're just so passionate about that. So definitely home fellowship. For us, a church is not a building. A church is a group of people. And if you read in the New Testament, every time they talk about the church, the congregation, the Greek word they're translating is ecclesia, and it means an assembly of people, and they met in homes as well. I'm very, I don't say confused. Well, yeah, I think confused may be a word. Disheartened also, in people's understanding of what the church is today. I see a lot of people just really outraged, as if they can't worship the Father or be the church if they can't have this big building meeting and stuff. That's not the church. The church is us. It's the people. And worship of the Father is not one thing. I think the greatest form of worship of the Father is studying, loving, reading His Word. That's worship. So if you feel and I'm not, again, you is a very general thing, if anyone feels that because of the events in our world today, they are being inhibited by the world from worshiping the Father, I would say lovingly, and with deep respect and reverence for Him and love for my fellow brothers and sisters, that maybe God's calling you to expand and redefine what is worship of Him. There's what we feel is worship of Him, and there's what He feels is worship of Him. And the way that He calls us to worship Him is in every breath we take throughout our lives. So, just a thought there. See, I told you I'm going to go on so much. And like I said, I'm taking these questions as general talking points. I'm not necessarily responding to the person. I'm just realized, okay, so this is something that people are curious about, so we're going to talk about it. These are also not in any order. Okay, this question is from Tanya. And, oh, y'all, I'm fixing to get fired up about this one, so bear with me. Sorry in advance. And so, Jackie says, I wish I lived near you so I could join your fellowship. You know what's crazy is we have standing room only at this point. It's crazy in our fellowship. But I want to encourage everybody to start their own fellowship. If you have a home, if you have a backyard, if you have any place that you can join with others, if you have a Zoom, if you have a computer, if you have a Facebook, start a fellowship right there. Plant those seeds. If the Father has given you land to farm, you are to farm it. And so I want to encourage y'all to do that. Our fellowship is actually, it's weird because we have this modern church has this idea that the concept is to grow, 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 grow. And I understand where that comes from, but the Father never told us to build churches. He told us to create disciples. And so that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be discipling people. And that's what we do. Our fellowship is very much a hub for us where we go and we train and we build one another up. And then we each go out into our own fields and build those disciples. And so we all need that. And if you seek him with your whole heart, he's going to give you that. And also, I want to tell y'all, if you got a Facebook page, why aren't you using his word? Why aren't you sharing his word? If we have a Facebook page, and if you have a Facebook page and your last 5 posts haven't been at least 4 of them sharing the word of God, what is the point? What is the point? I don't understand. I really don't get it. The more when we see his word is so important, it is the breath of life for us. His word tells us how to live. We all see, we're all lamenting how lost this world is. We know that his word is the light on our path. Why aren't we sharing that light? I have no idea. It makes no sense to me why believers aren't posting his word every single day. It completely boggles the mind. I mean, we'll post about our politics, and we'll post about our sports teams, and we'll post about memes, and we'll post things that tick us off. And why aren't we posting his word? I don't know. But the Father looks at all these things we're passionate about, and he says, where am I in this picture? Where am I in this picture? And we can't continue to fool ourselves. We can't continue to try to fool ourselves saying, well, my passions are the same thing as sharing his word because my passions are in line with his word. My passions are just as good as his word. Well, you know, we're going to read about this. Israel, when they created that golden calf, they said that was him. They declared their golden calf. They said, we're going to worship this calf, and this is the same thing as worshiping him. It's not what we think, it's what he thinks. And so, I'm sorry, I'm going to get off on that. I'm going to hush now. Sorry. Okay. That's just, okay. So, I love this email. I emailed her back, and I said, these are excellent questions, and I'm so excited to talk about them. I am on, okay, she's preparing for, okay, let's see. I am seeing more external, outside the church, spiritual engagement, which is great, meaning people developing relationships with God on their own outside the church. That's wonderful. This is not knocking the church, but the church, and I know your church will admit this, your church will say this, of course, they have never intended themselves to be a stand-in for a one-on-one relationship with the Father. She said, number 1, it seems more things are being brought out from prophets like I've never personally encountered before. Around a great revival beginning or around the elections, which I know we don't talk about politics, and I'm wondering what your take is on the number of prophets coming forward, their message being so specific to the USA as a country and a leader of nations, and whether it has been this overt before, and I just wasn't aware. Also, I know the test of a prophet is to wait and see if what they say comes true. But for example, not listening to Jeremiah in time caused a great many to suffer the downfall for their sins. This is what confounds me a little. What are your thoughts on this? Okay. These are very good questions. And I'm going to have to jump around a bit to answer them. We have seen a great number of prophets here lately. I think, and the word tells us that we're going to see an increase in these as we draw nearer to the end times. And so I don't think that's in your head. I think we're seeing more false prophets. More prophets. We're going to get into the false part later. I spoke, my brain slipped out there. But, I think we're seeing a lot more, and I think they're being a lot more bolder. They're being a lot more aggressive, in that the thing that we need to realize is the adversary doesn't need to bother with people who aren't seeking to follow the Father. He's already got them. His intended goal are the followers of our Father. Okay, that's his goal, and so He's actively coming after us. And many are going to be deceived. The Messiah tells us many will be deceived. I want to say this as a compassion towards some of these prophets, those that are going to be proven false, who have been proven false, that I think many of them are deceived also. I think they honestly believe in their heart that they're following him and speaking for him. However, they clearly lack the discernment, for whatever reason, to know that they're not speaking for him. Now, all this to say, we've had a lot of prophets lately, and the Bible tells us, God tells us himself, that the way to know a false prophet is if they speak for him, what they speak will always come true. Always come true. Okay? So if a prophet says something is going to happen and it doesn't happen, then God himself tells us that they have spoken presumptuously. It says they have spoken if what they say is going to come to pass does not come to pass, they have spoken presumptuously, and you need not fear them. Now, another translation of that is you need not fear them. In the Bible, when we see fear something, it means to hold reverent, to uphold, So, when we have a lot of prophets who right now at this point in our history have been proven false, and it's almost like the Father has turned the light on to let us see all that's in the room right now very clearly. And this is a very important time for us to make note of them, because, and again, I'm not condemning them personally, but I'm trying to think of how to say this. I'm trying to be very judicious in my words. Anyone who leads people astray will be held accountable for leading them astray. We may be innocent. We may have been misled. We may have had a misstep in trusting in man. Now, I do believe if we read the Father's Word, and if we are students of the Word, and lovers of the Word, and livers, if we live the Word, we're going to be a lot less likely. We're going to be far better equipped not to be led astray. But once this person especially has been shown, according to the Word, to be a false prophet, to be someone who speaks presumptuously for the Father, meaning they claim to speak for the Father, but they don't. But they prove false. They prove to have not been speaking for the Father. If we choose to continue following them, that's something we're going to answer for. We are choosing to follow them instead of following the Father. We are choosing to follow someone who has proven to speak presumptuously for them, to say that they are speaking for him when they do not. That's very dangerous. And so, on a personal note, I literally, y'all, and this is not, and I will not, don't ask me what's on it because I ain't going to share it. It's up to you to do your own research. But I literally have a list of people right now who have proven themselves to speak presumptuously for the Father. And these are people I'm trying to be I don't need to trust that person. I don't need, that's not a person I need to listen to. And so I will not take counsel from these people. And by that, meaning I won't take counsel from them people. I'm not going to listen to their sermons. I'm not going to read their books. I don't want that. I have very limited time in my life. All that time I have, he deserves it. He deserves it. I'm certainly not splitting it between someone who's going to lead me to follow another gospel. And that's what they do. They're leading you to follow another gospel. Now, a great part of her question is, she said, I know not listening to Jeremiah in time caused many to suffer for the downfall of their sins. So and you're making a great point. How do we know someone is a false apostle if their prophecy hasn't proven to be untrue just yet? There's several things we can do. Number one, if you read the Word, it's like the Father has this pipeline of communication with us. But we don't hear it. We shut off our ears to it. We shut off our eyes to it. the best way to make sure you have a clear and established line of communication with the Father is to communicate with the Father, is to read His Word daily, to know His Word and study it. People say we can't know God, but that's not true, because He wants us to know Him. And when we read His Word, He reveals His heart, His character, His mind. He reveals all that to us. We serve a God of patterns. And you will see in His Word time and again. You'll see. You read it over and over and over. Please don't do this. They do this. He responds this way. And He'll say, there's a lot in the Bible, and we'll learn about these. There's a lot of if-then statements. If you do this, then I will do this. He always holds true on this. He keeps His promise. He is a Father of patterns. He is a Father of His Word. His Word always proves true. And so when we read the Bible, people who say you can't know God, they haven't tried. When you read the Bible, He wants us to know Him. That's why He gave us this whole text, to draw us near to Him and to know Him. And so you will see they will lead you. One of the clear things is they'll lead you to follow them rather than to follow the Word. And this can be very subtle sometimes. But everyone on that list that I will not share, like I said, this is for my own personal discernment. And I do think it's wise. We're supposed to be as wise as serpents. Times are drawing near, and we have to be wise. We have to use discernment. And so I'm not just going to let anyone speak into my soul. I'm not just going to let anyone give me teaching. I'm not going to follow after all that. But they will lead you to follow them rather than following Him. And if you keep your eyes open, rather than following His Word, I'm going to tell you, you want a prophecy? You want a prophet in your time? I got you a prophet right now. I'm going to tell you where you can go to talk to a prophet who will always prove true. We got Isaiah, y'all. You want a prophet? Are you longing for a prophet? Go read Isaiah. Okay? I read this yesterday. Oh, here's some good Isaiah. It's like you're reading. I don't even have to watch the news or anything. I can just read Isaiah. It's just as relevant. You will keep on hearing but never understand. Keep on seeing but never perceive. Because the heart of this people has become dull. With their ears they barely hear, and their eyes they have closed, so as not to see with their eyes, hear with their ears, understand with their hearts, and turn, so that I could heal them. That's from Isaiah 6, 9 through 10. And then here's one I wrote yesterday. Woe to the rebellious children, says the Father. They make plans, but the plans are not mine. They develop alliances, but not from my spirit, in order to pile sin upon sin. Isaiah 30:1. And here's Isaiah 30:15. Returning and resting is what will save you. Returning and resting is what will save you. Calmness and confidence will make you strong, but you want none of this. What do you see? What's the one thing that you see? I see so many believers today running around like chickens with their head cut off. But like the sky's falling, because what they have placed their hope in is not succeeding. The Father has granted us this mercy. When we place our hope in things that are not of Him, we are deserving of judgment, but He's granted us this mercy in allowing those things to fail, to wake us up and to help us realize that our hope was not in Him. Our hope was in other things apart from Him. And we declared them to be of Him, but that doesn't make them so. So, and there's another, Jeremiah 8:12 says, we do all these things. We place our hope in these things that are not of Him. We declare them to be of Him. And then when they don't fail, we're shook. Well, that's a blessing. That's a mercy. That's to remind us, to shake us awake. Hey, you weren't hoping in me. Jeremiah 8:12, he was talking to Israel, and he said, are these people even ashamed of what they do? No, they're not even ashamed. My people are not even ashamed. They don't even know how to blush. We have lost the ability to even be ashamed. We're that far gone from Him that we don't even recognize our own sin or even have the ability to be ashamed of it. So I really enjoy those. But y'all, I enjoyed that question. False prophets. Stop following them. Stop. I don't know why. No, I do know why. I do know why people follow these false prophets. I do know why people look for prophets. I do know why people look to YouTube people to tell them predictions and to tell them what to do and to tell them all this stuff. Because you're looking for the cliff notes. We keep looking for the cliff notes. Our flesh has us looking for the cliff notes. We don't want to sit down and study this because it's too long. It's too much. It might cause us to be uncomfortable. It might cause us to have to face some things. It might cause us to have to face God and have to change some things. And you know what? All those things are true. It will cause you to be uncomfortable. It will cause you to face some things. It will cause you to change some things. All of it's true. And I was afraid of it for a long time. I didn't understand it. And then, like they said in Daniel 10:12, I set in my heart to understand. I prayed to the Father to help me understand. And my prayers were heard. And it did cause me to change some things. And every speck of my life has been blessed as a result. Following him, reading his whole word, I cannot imagine. It is next to choosing to follow him. It's the greatest decision I've ever made in my life. And my ancestors will be blessed, according to this word, to the 1,000th generation. Should we still be here doing that for that long? So I want to encourage you, jump. If you're standing on the edge and you're thinking, "Ooh, do I want to stay in the world? Or do I want to risk?" Because the world is known, and this is an unknown. Until we open this, until we dedicate to start living, this is an unknown. Jump. Best thing you'll ever do. Jump. Somebody posted something on my Facebook, one of the comments this week, and it was so profound. It just struck me. It was so profound. They said, there's a big difference between a believer and a follower. And that struck me because that explains so much. I lived most of my life as a believer, but I wasn't a follower. Messiah's brother said, even demons believe, but being a follower is a totally different thing. And how can we be a follower if we won't read his word? This is the difference. This is the difference between a believer and a follower. This. Do you believe this to be true? If you ain't read it, how can you even say that? If you don't study this daily, how can you even say that? You don't know what you believe. Read this. Apply it. Follow it. This makes all the difference in the world. So let's see what else we got here. Oh, this is a really good one. Oh, I have some. This is funny. We're going to interrupt this with a little bit of humor. So this is from Ren, who is awesome, and I love her. She said, I gotta read you this. Ooh, I got 2 verses. I gotta go get my other Bible. She said, I'm reading in Kings today and just came across a verse I have never noticed before. Let me get to this verse because I want to read it to y'all because it's awesome. I'm sorry. I just think the whole Bible is wonderful. So you may get tired of, oh, this is my favorite book. No, this is my favorite book. No, this is my favorite book. I will tell you that I do have one favorite book in the whole Bible, and that is Deuteronomy. And when we get to Deuteronomy, oh my goodness, you're going to see. I'm so excited about that book. So she said, how have I missed this verse before? I love that we get new eyes each time we read through it. This is 2 Kings 13:21. And it was, just a second. Trying to see. And as a man was being buried, behold, a marauding band was seen, and the man was thrown into the grave of Elijah. And as soon as the man touched the bones of Elijah, he revived and stood on his feet. Isn't that shocking? We should read this and be shocked, like, we should be imagining this. Now, let me see. There's a verse that I found the other day that I called my sister, because currently I'm reading through, I read 12 to 24 chapters of the Bible each day in different parts of the Bible. And So I'm kind of covering the whole thing right now. But let me go get my other Bible. Pardon me just a moment, please. I have my other Bible over here. I had so much in my way. I try to, when I read through the Bible, I like to read a new translation each time because you pick up more stuff. So now this is just a little biblical humor. I called my sister. I'm like, I have found your parenting style, and it is biblical. So this is in Judges 6:23. But the father reassured him, "Shalom to you. Don't be afraid. You won't die." And I said, "That's your parenting style, Patty. Did you die? Did you die? You're not gonna die. You'll be fine." Anyway, I thought that was my little bit of biblical humor. So let's see. Here was her question. It reminded me, I wanted to send you a question. I decided to send it here since others may be wondering about it too. I've read all I have found about the accountability trains, but I still feel like I'm missing info or details or something. Is this a topic you're going to mention to everyone again for newcomers, or wait until start time? Should we approach those we think would be interested already? I can't help but think I'm missing something. What are others doing? So what she's referring to is, this is a new method that we're going to be employing to help people remember to read their Bible. The number one thing I want y'all to remember is it is not Facebook's job to remind you to read the Bible. It is not Facebook's job to remind you to read the Bible. We should wake up every day excited and looking forward to our time in the Word. We should be passionate about His Word. He does not take a day off from being our God. And I'm going to tell you, one of the things, and I understand this is an innocent question. I understand where their heart is, where they're coming from, because we've been trained to do this. When we start reading that first week, we're going to have so many people say, "Do we read on the weekends too?" Yes. We read 7 days a week. He doesn't take a day off from being our God. Amy says, "Are you bleeding? You're going to be okay." It's her parenting style. He doesn't take a day off from being our God. And we're not going to take a day off from being His child. So we read 7 days a week. But especially in the beginning, people get caught up. A lot of things happen. I understand, because I know that as we're dedicating ourselves to read His Word and to becoming lovers of His Word, the world is actively trying to pull us away. And sometimes the world is going to be successful. And so we want to surround ourselves with brothers and sisters who are going to encourage us and pull us back in. I had someone who started a relationship with somebody who was not of the faith. And I warned them. I said, "Look, this is being unequally yoked. You're either going to pull them in or they're going to pull you out." And that's the same with the world. The world is trying to pull us out all the time, okay? The world is that bad boyfriend trying to pull us away from the faith, or the bad girlfriend, depending on your gender here. But so an accountability train is something that we are going to do in here. I'm going to do a whole video with different ideas, and we're going to start setting up accountability trains very soon. Probably within 2 to 3 weeks, we will start getting those going. So all the more reason why you need to get your friends in now. You need to get them in now. I would do that. Seriously, be urgent about it. Get them in now. Because once we start January and you start learning all these things and you start seeing all these things and you start talking about the Bible with this new understanding, you start explaining it and you get so excited about it, they're going to want to join, and it's too late. They'll have to wait a year. So, and what an accountability train is there's several ways of doing this. The premise is we want a close-knit group of friends that says, "Did you read your Bible today?" Or that discusses it. "What do you think about the notes? What do you think about this? I saw this and I didn't see this talked about, and I'm trying to figure," that kind of thing. Yes, iron sharpens iron. So you can do this several ways. You can have a little messenger, like a little messenger chat that you keep going every day, checking in. I have a friend who is kind of testing out the messenger. We've got a little accountability train going right now in Messenger, and we're all reading through the 12 chapters a day plan. You can have a text message on your phone, a group text message. You can do an email. You can start your own little Facebook group of people who are doing that. Now, what I recommend for accountability trains is no more than 5 people, because it's going to make it a lot easier. And here's something that I recommend, and I'm really going to encourage this. Each morning on the chat threads, on the discussion threads in the group, good morning, glad to be here, and then you tag everybody on your accountability train. How are y'all doing? You know, so the premise is one person would say, I'm starting an accountability train. Who wants to be on my train? And they will post that in the comments. And if they don't already have a friends group that they're doing this with, so they'll post that in the comments. They're going to be the conductor. They are the person responsible for tagging those people each morning. And that just reminds them, that gives them one more notification from Facebook. It helps them remember, oh, hey, I need to check in with the readings. And it can just be as simple as them coming in and liking the post or something. And then you know that they've checked in. They know the readings are there. They're going to get to it as soon as their day permits them to. But I'm going to do another whole chat just about accountability trains. It's basically just, we're trying to rise up. Picture us as believers right now. We have been knocked down. We're in the dirt. The Father is here and He's calling us. So we're going to rise up. When you start to rise up and follow after the Father, and you look and you see your brothers and sisters where you are too, what are you going to do? You're going to reach your hands down and you're going to pull them up with you. And that's what accountability trains are. Everybody grab somebody. Don't just get up and walk off on your own. Everybody grab somebody and help them rise up with you. So that's the accountability train. We will be doing that. I know a lot of people, there are some ladies groups who are planning on meeting like once a week and going through this, and they meet once a week and talk about that, their notes and things like that. I'm also working on some additional Bible studies, but we'll get into all that later. So that's the premise of an accountability train. We haven't done it yet. This is going to be our first year doing it, because we're not going to have an email list this year. And so this is another thing that I'm encouraging people to do, is help one more way that people can be held accountable. Not, you know what? I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. It's not about holding people accountable. It's about helping people, encouraging people, checking in on people. How are you doing? Have you been reading the Word? You really, come on, you need this in your life, And the people who sign up, who want to be a part of an accountability train, are people saying, hey, help me. I need more of Him, but I get busy and this world pulls me away, and I don't want to forget, because I know I need this. And so it's a loving thing. It's not a crack the whip thing. It's a loving opportunity that we can all take part of. So if y'all want to go ahead and start accountability trains, you're welcome to. I would pray about it. The person who starts the train, I'm calling the conductor. And then you just need to figure out how you want to do it. You want to do an email, chat, message. I do recommend the conductor each morning on the thread chime in and tag everybody. Just say good morning and tag everybody. They don't have to have a response or anything, but that's going to be one more notification in that little Facebook bell that reminds them of the study. Okay, this is from Joyce. She said, good morning. A simple question to ask. If you could share something about how you use highlighters during your study. Do you have a color code you love that you would like to share with the group? I'm trying to come up with my own chart, but it's always nice to see if someone has found a good system. I love you for thinking I'm this organized. I have aspirations. Sometimes I dream about being organized, and then I wake up. But I do have my own system. It's just not going to look as organized as some people's systems do. So let me tell you what I do. Now I've got a link to these. Y'all have heard me talk about these all the time. Best Bible highlighters ever. Love these things. I learned about these from my friend Beverly Burris. I saw these. We were having fellowship with her one day. I was coveting when I saw her Bible highlighters. I love these things. And these are the ones that are kind of like it's a waxy crayon thing. I mean, so it looks like, it's not a liquid. It looks like a clear crayon. And let me show you. So I'm trying to find somebody's. I don't want to show anybody's email address or anything here. But I do want you to see how they work on words. So they don't bleed through. And this particular kind doesn't leave little lumps and stuff. Let me show you that. See how easy that is? And they're very, now I have the link to these in the description of this video. There's a link to these. Here you go. She said, hold them up again, please. It comes in a hard case. Beverly, you can do something where they're like tilted up like that. And then it closes and you can just tuck it in your purse and keep them all together. So I love those. I use those all the time. Now, my other thing that I use, I cannot read my Bible without this pen. And this is probably what I use the most. So it has 4 different colors. And then when you push this down, it's a pencil lead. And there's also an eraser in the top. This pen is about $10. And that's a lot for a pen. But it's also a doctor grip. I have arthritis in my hands. Uncle Arthur hangs out with me a lot. And this is really easy to write with. And you keep up with it. $10 is not bad for what I get for this. All the use I get out of this. So I don't have a color-coded highlighter system. I use colors when I'm highlighting if I'm highlighting a specific text, I use different colors just to make different things stand out in different ways to me. But I don't have a system. I do have a color-coded system that I use with this pen, and I'm going to tell you what that is. And we'll learn about this a lot when you start the Bible with me. So, okay, you will notice. Do you see this? You see all those circles? What have I circled there? You see all the things I've circled? I have circled every time you see an all caps Lord in this entire Bible. Every time I'm reading and I see Lord in all caps, I circle it in red. Let me tell you why I do that, because that reminds me. So we're going to learn about this. I don't want to listen, y'all. I don't want to go into this now because I want you to discover it as you're reading through the Bible. And I want to encourage all of y'all who have already read through the Bible with us to don't take away that opportunity for others to read through his word and discover these treasures he has for us along the way. Let them discover the treasures as they come to them as well. We have to avoid the temptation to give the highlights to other people. Because by doing so, we're taking away their opportunity to discover them in context and to see the deeper meaning. We also don't want to enable or help people to form a secondhand relationship with his word. We want them to have a firsthand relationship. And the wonder of discovering the Father's word, of reading it firsthand for yourselves, of all these little treasures and nuggets of gold, apples of gold that we find as we're reading the word. We don't want to take that away from them. And we can give somebody a golden apple out of context and they'll appreciate it, but reading it in context, whole different thing. So the Father has a personal name. It's not God and it's not Lord. And it was in the original manuscripts of the Bible. And we're going to read that. We're going to read it as we get to it. But his name, personal name, was in the original manuscripts, and it was removed almost 7,000 times from the Bible. It was removed. And it's been replaced by the all caps Lord. Now, don't believe me. Y'all don't ever take my word for stuff. Seriously, don't do that. Read the front matter of your Bible. If you read the front matter of your Bible today, there will be a section, and it explains to you that his name has been removed and what they replaced it with. It's called Different Things in the front matter of your Bible. Let's see. Sorry, I see it right here in mine. And so something for me personally, I circled it in red throughout this whole Bible. Has every single incident of it in there circled in red. Another thing I do as I'm reading the Bible with this pen is if I see a word that I want to look up the original word for, and I'm going to teach you how to do all this. If I'm thinking, ooh, I need to know what was actually said here. Because a lot of what we're going to start out reading was originally in Hebrew. And it's a very nuanced language. It's a very intricate language. And English is much more simplified. It's kind of like the difference in college statistics versus preschool math. Okay? And so if you go back and look up those original words, you'll get so much more. You'll glean so much more. And I'm going to teach you all how to do this. Do not be the least bit intimidated. Trust me. So when I come across those words, I hit that green tab, I underline it, and I put an O above it. You'll see a lot of O's in my Bible, and that means I want to look up the original meaning of the word. So what I do when I'm writing my notes and I'm studying the Bible, I start with Old Faithful. This is my starter. This is my starting point. And remember, you can use any translation you want in this Bible study, because the translation is just a jumping off point. So I start with Old Faithful. I'll read it there, and then I stop. I go look up all those words, and then I will go read that same passage in several other translations to see what else I can glean from it. So I do use this, and I have color codes, red and green. I use in different ways, and then I write notes in the margin stuff. I do use this for highlighting and stuff, but I generally use like blue or black for that. But I love these. Excuse me. Another Bible tool that I like, I put the list up here, and my friend Joanne Stanley introduced me to these. Oh my goodness, they're amazing. They're called book darts. And here's what they are. You get this little tin, and they don't rust. They don't leave any marks on your pages or anything. Look how thin this is. It is the thinnest little thing, and it has a point on the end of it. And I was using some yesterday. I was reading this. They're so thin. They don't bunch up your Bible or anything. So I was reading this amazing passage in Judges yesterday that I just having so much fun with. Put this bookmark over here. And I put some in here just to be able to show y'all. You can actually put them on your page and have them pointing to a verse. And when you close your Bible, they don't like bunch it up or anything, because they don't take up any space. They're super thin. So I really like book darts as well. And I put a link to them up above, and a link to the pen, and a link to the highlighters. Let's see. Okay, so this is from Victoria. She said, I love this. She said, thank you for she was talking about last week's coffee chat. Thank you for the wonderful coffee chat. You did step on my toes, but we always need that to get closer to him. The question I always like to ask is, what denomination is the church where you worship? And she is a preacher's kid of a Southern Baptist minister. So I did cover that earlier. I spent most of my life in the Baptist church. I'll just say it, y'all. I don't consider myself any denomination now. And I want to explain that I really struggle with that. For a long time, I struggled mightily with that, because our culture puts everything in a box. And we like to put people in boxes. And I was used to having my box. And when people ask what denomination you are, and you can tell them, that gives them a lot of information about you. That tells them, in their mind, and I was the same way. It tells us, okay, she believes this doctrine. She believes this theology. She has this value. She doesn't believe in this value. That kind of thing. That tells you a lot of instant information. And so when we say, what denomination are you? And you can tell them, they say, oh, okay. And they know what box to put you in. They then feel that they know how to interact with you and all, And when I started reading the whole Bible, I realized, y'all, we put God in a box too. We put him in a neat little box, and we actually try to box him in. And we say, by putting him in that box, we will say what he can and can't do. We declare who he's going to show grace to, who he's not going to show grace to. We declare who he will grant salvation to, who he will not grant salvation to. I want to be really clear about that. The gift of salvation is the Father's alone to give, and we don't get to determine any of that. And so we put God in a box too. Well, when you start reading the Word, you realize he will never fit in any box that a human mind could construct. But yet we try to. In our human arrogance, since the beginning of time, we have tried to put God in a box. And then we build different boxes and bigger boxes, and we configure different boxes. And that's a dangerous thing to do, because we are essentially limiting him by putting him in a box. He will never fit in our box. it's just like there's this method of theology called systematic theology. And it works very much like the engine of a car. You say, okay, this works, this is it. And every single, you look at a car engine, if you take out one part, nothing works. Systematic theology works very much in the same way. You say, well, God does this, through this, through this. And so when you start reading the Bible, every time you read the Bible, the Father, it's just like, it's like when we're babies, we're working up from formula to stage 1 to stage 2 to stage 3 and finally solid foods. And he has that same level of patience and teaching with us. And so every time we read the Bible, we learn more and more, and we gain a greater understanding, and he gives us more of his divine wisdom. And as we learn, as we gain a greater and deeper understanding, if we have built this system that relies on A to B to C to D to E, and we find out that, well, C actually isn't what we thought it was, it works in a different way, that's like taking out the spark plugs from a car. Then everything else, it falls apart. So I learned really quickly that we can't put him in a box. And when you serve him, you will no longer be able to fit into a box. So I can no longer say that I am this denomination, because there may be some doctrines in that I read the Bible and I say, well, that's not what this says. And if I say that, then people are going to people assume a lot of things about you. And I struggle with that, because I would like to be able to tell you, I'd like to be able to give you one label that for you would immediately tell you everything I believe and everything that I hold to be true in this world. And I really want to be able to do that, and I can't anymore. But all I can tell you is this. This is what I believe. I serve the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And I am saved by grace. I am made righteous only through the sacrifice, the blood of my precious Messiah. Through him, I am made clean, and I am able to boldly approach the throne of our Father and kneel at his feet and say, Father, whatever I have that is good, I know it's from you. And whatever I have, whatever you have given me that gives me any ability, let me use it to serve you. And whatever love I have, whatever love you give me, let me reflect that love to those around me. And this is not anything against anybody who can have a label, who say, I'm part of this denomination. Because in my mind, when you tell me you're part of a denomination, that just tells me this is the great church you go to, and this is the field in which you nourish and are nourished, okay? But I'm talking about how the world views those. I don't view them that way, so I get that. But also I'm not any denomination, but I believe this. This is what I believe. And I want as many people as possible to read this too. I'm a believer, and with all my heart, I set about to be a follower as well. So I hope that makes sense. Shannon says, Shannon, that's so funny. She said, yes, girl, we're going through that right now with examining doctrines. Our family needs t-shirts that say, what does the Bible say? Because it's literally all we say all the time. What does the Bible say? That's funny. Yeah. I want to be really careful. I try to, we're told to be very cautious about the different doctrines in the world. The different doctrines, well, actually, the Father was referring to doctrines within the church when he said this. Messiah was. He said, teaching as commandments the doctrines of men. He condemned that. And we have a lot of doctrines. Doctrines are not always a bad thing, but when you hold up a doctrine as equal to or even having more authority than the Father's commandments, that's a problem. That's a big problem. And the Bible will teach us all about that and how not to do that. Okay, this is from Shannon. I was just talking to you, wasn't I? Let's see. Yes, Shannon Hazelton. she asked about the fellowship, so I answered that one. She said, I've heard you mention you have a teenage daughter. So Shannon doesn't know me from my former life. She only knows me from this, which is great. Those of you who know me from my former life, you have actually seen my children grow up. But she said, I've heard you mention that, and I'm glad you asked this because I have to realize a lot of people don't know that, and I want to share this with you. You have a teenage daughter. Do you guys have other children? Let's see. They don't. Okay. So, yes, we have Katie. Katie is almost 16. She'll be 16 next month. And those of you who have been with me since the beginning in my former life, I know you're as shocked as I am about that. And then our son Brady is 21, and he is a junior at college right now. He is majoring in journalism. It's kind of a jack of all trades. He does. He just brought me a newspaper that he had photography in. He had written stories in. He just got done recording this big thing for this. He was doing videography. He did this whole feature story for Business Insider. It's some kind of a internet thing. I think it's a news website or something. And so he's a videographer. He's a producer. He's a photographer. He's a great writer. And then he also does on-air personality, like the talking heads you see on the news. Brady does that too. So he's doing really well. I'm very proud of him. I had to be a mom for a minute, y'all. Okay. So he's an honors student, and he went into university as an honors student, and he has remained an honors student every semester there. And he's been on the dean's list every semester. Really proud of him. Katie is just so stunningly creative. It kills me. She produces, she writes, and she composes and produces music on her own. It's her hobby. She's also a graphic artist, and she just does some of the most amazing things, and she has just the most wonderful heart, and I love her so much. Anyway, and then she said, you guys are from Alabama. Did you grow up there? Yes. And I actually have another question about Alabama that I will make sure I get to. I grew up here. I am a 9th generation Alabamian. We were here before it was a state, and I live in Huntsville. And another question asked me about that, so I'll discuss that a little more there. My husband's not from here. I had to import him. He's from Georgia. Let's see. Yeah, she said, I heard you mention something about a cooking blog. So I retired about 2 months ago. I started a blog called Southern Plate, southernplate.com. Most people have no idea I'm retired, and that's not me anymore there. I love all the things that are happening with it now. I'm so proud of it, and I enjoy being part of the Southern Plate audience now. So I started Southern Plate in 2008. It was one of the top 25 food blogs in the country. I had 3 best-selling cookbooks. I traveled around the country doing TV. And then Southern Living hired me to do all their TV appearances. Thank you, Shannon. And let's see, I'm trying to think. I did some TV series and things. I was on things like that. That was my other life. It was very fun. I was thinking this morning, I have this funny story that happened, but I remember it was related to another story. I don't think I'm going to tell y'all. We'll see. I did something very embarrassing this week. But one time I was on the Today Show, and that was one of my first TV appearances. And I was on with Al Roker, and a lot of my readers had never seen me on TV before. And after that, people were just amazed at how tall I was. People thought I was like over 6 feet tall. But I'm 5'6". Al Roker was 4'11". And so it was just so funny, all the astonishment of people being, So I've been on the Today Show. I've been on Hallmark. I've been on, there's a TV show called The Talk, I think is what it's called. And 700 Club. I've done all that stuff, and I loved it, and it was great, and it trained me and built me up for this time in my life. This is what I'm most excited about. So it was a great life, and I'm so thankful for the opportunity to have gotten to see that side, because it really helps me understand how good my life is now. I very gladly left all of that. I very gladly left all of that. I'm talking about like that other portion of it. But the community is wonderful. The people are wonderful. I got to see some great humanity, and it taught me how to be a better person. And it just built up my love for my fellow mankind, my brothers and sisters. So let's see. Okay. Oh, I love this one. Now we're going to get a little sticky here. Let me tell you why we're going to get a little sticky. A lot of things have been politicized right now that I don't think should be politicized. We don't talk politics in here. I'm not ever going to talk politics. And I don't want... That's a really quick way to have your comment deleted. We ain't going there, y'all. We need a place of rest from all that, okay? So I want to let you know that some of these topics we're about to talk about have been politicized. I don't view them as political topics. And so that's not where I'm coming from in this, okay? She said, I have a few questions for you. I was curious if you live off-grid or homestead. With all the craziness and uncertainty of 2020, it seems like so many believers either already live this way or are moving this direction. And it's brought about some anxiety for me because my husband and I do not feel an urgency to do so. But anyways, I often feel concerned about not being led to a safer place, or I'm either constantly feeling like I'm not measuring up in some way or doing something wrong because the Father's not telling us to move. I'm trying to see if I can. So she did not send this as a political email as well, but there's some topics that have been tragically politicized, and I may skip over those because I don't want to, if only we had the passion for the Father that we have for our politics. Let's see. And they're not the same. It's not the same. Having passion for the Father is not the same. Let's see. She's talking about she lives in a state that has more stricter regulations right now because of the pandemic. And a lot of people are feeling the need to leave those states. They're pushing back at that. And again, she just feels no urgency to do so. So, I want to say, first of all, here is how I think of this. And we're very divided right now over the pandemic. And I want to tell you how I manage this in my own mind. I view this as two universes. We have parallel universes right now. In one universe, COVID exists. In one universe, it does not. I live in the universe where it does exist. And I want to say this. I understand that a lot of people live in the universe where it does not. I love and respect you, regardless of which universe you live in. We have this tendency as believers to say, in order to follow God, you must do so exactly as I do, as I follow Him. You must follow Him exactly as I do. But that's a fallacy. Because if we do that, if we feel that way about people, then what we're actually asking them to do and expecting them to do is to follow us, not to follow Him. And that's not right. And so I want you to know that if you are a believer who firmly believes that COVID does not exist, and every theory, idea, fact that goes with that, I respect that. I'm cool with that. I'm not going to try to convince you otherwise. If you're a believer who truly believes it does exist, okay, and you want to say, hey, what are you doing? I'll be happy to help you because I'm in that universe, okay? And this is not in any way demeaning or insulting or judging of anyone. I'm living my life, and when I have a window of influence into your life, my number one goal is to get you to read the Word. Whether or not you wear a mask, whether or not you're going to take a vaccine, whether or not you voted, you know what? I got one objective, and I have a motive. I have a motive. In being your friend, I'm going to have a motive, and I want to be totally transparent. I want you to read the Word. I want you to read the Word. And then what you do with that is between you and the Father. Okay? So I personally do not feel that I have no issue with the the COVID restrictions, or I don't even think of it as restrictions, the guidelines that we're living under. Even though most of the people where I live, I will tell you, most of the people where I live, I think, do not see, they live in a different universe from one I live in. So what do? I do the best that I can do in the universe I live in. I follow my own convictions and principles. I follow what I feel are the safest guidelines and the safest way for me to live. You know, in my mind, in my universe, okay? If you don't live in my universe, that's fine. I'm not talking to you. I'm telling you, in my universe, when the Father told Noah to build the ark, Noah didn't stand around saying, I'm not building an ark. If it floods, he'll save me. You know, he built the ark. And so my husband and I, we try to stay home as much as we can. But I really like that regardless. I'm very much a homebody. And when I go out, I use every precaution that I can use. And I try not to go out. But I do use every precaution I can use. So, but I want to speak to this because I thought this was really interesting, because you and I, this is from Amy, you and I are in the same place. We actually, 10 years ago, we had every plan. We were hoping to buy land out in the middle of nowhere, build a house, all that stuff. And just in the past couple of years, the Father has changed our hearts. And according to his wisdom and for his good purpose, I don't question it and I don't claim to know it in this. He has directed us to stay put. And I know what you're saying, because we feel really strange being content right now and staying where we are, because everybody else is running around trying to do the opposite of what we're doing. But here's what you need to know, okay? We're following him. We're not following other people. And there are a lot of times when you're following him, he will give you a directive that's specific for you. Other people don't have to follow him like we're following him to still be following him. We have individual plans and individual directives. And so he has called a lot of people to move. We don't know what his plan for them is. We don't know what they would have encountered had they not have listened to him. We don't know what he's protecting them from. I get all that. But some of us, he's also called to stay. It's just like the current social media exodus. I'm here. I'm staying. I ain't going nowhere. This is where he's planted me, and I'm staying here. So I know it is kind of, it's a wake-up call when you see everybody else doing something opposite in their journey of following the Father, and he's telling you to do something entirely different. We got to just get used to that. You know, he has called me and Ricky to do some things very different from how people that we love and respect are doing them. And sometimes I'll be like, Father, they're doing this, and they said you let them to do this, but you didn't lead me to do this. And after a while, you're like, you sure you don't want to lead me to do that, Father? You don't. Father, can I do that what they're doing? You know? And he's like, look, it's unnerving at times. And so you have to, here's the thing. Here's our posture. Book open, eyes on him. Stop looking at other people. But you know, we do. I'm not condemning you for looking at other people. It's good to look at other people. It's good to pray for them, that the Father bless and guide their journey as they follow him, and that they strengthen them. That he strengthens them for following him. And at the same time, it reminds us that we're not supposed to be following other people. It's always one-on-one, individual path here. Yes. Shannon says the Father is not going to call every single family to do the same things. I would love to move out to the country, but the Father has us in a low-income town where we really have the opportunity to be involved. In lives that we would otherwise not be able to. So he's going to stay put where he put us. Yes! Oh, Virginia. One good thing about being retired and being responsible only to the Father. Plenty of time to read the Bible and study and hang out on the porch and pray. Absolutely. Debbie has a wonderful... Debbie says, yes, the body of Messiah has... many parts. Look at the Bible, how the Father dispersed the disciples in different directions in order to spread the kingdom unto the whole world. He may spread us for his purposes. Ooh, that's good. Yes. Shannon says that was homeschool for us. I didn't want to do that at all, but he laid it on my heart and didn't stop until I did. The Father gave me steps to get to homeschooling. He made it very clear when our daughter was in third grade, no, after second grade that summer, he made it abundantly clear to us that, and that's a whole other story, that we were to get our children out of public school. And like Ricky says, the Father knows we're pretty dense. He doesn't just give us signs, he gives us neon billboards. And so we started praying. Okay, Father, my prayer was pretty much like this. It's clear that you want me to take my kids out of public school. Again, this is not condemning public school or anything. It's just saying this is the Father's plan for us. So the way I see it, Father, I have two options: private school or homeschool. Whichever you tell me to do, I will do. Please don't let it be homeschool. But whichever you tell me to do, I will do. Please don't let it be homeschool. Because I didn't think I could do homeschool. I was too overwhelmed at the thought of it. And the father knew I couldn't do homeschool, and knew I had to rely on him for anything. He's our portion, you know. And so the Father allowed us to do private school for a couple of years. And no, I'm sorry, Katie was in kindergarten. She only went to kindergarten. We did private school for 2 years. And then he's like, okay, now we're going to take the training wheels off, sister or daughter. You're going to do some homeschool. So then we did. Yeah, Jill says, I remember that. Jill remembers me talking to her about these prayers. So that was funny. He kind of let me have training wheels for a while there. Okay, and here we go. In sort of a fun, silly question, I am a notebook and journal loving girl. I love paper and pens and journaling, and I was curious if you use any type of special notebook for your Bible notes. Oh, you're talking my love language here. I love pens and I love paper. I love writing things. So my Bible notes, I can't write as fast as my brain thinks. So I type my Bible notes. When I'm working on notes to share with the group, when I'm writing Bible studies and things, I type them. I do write in my journal a lot. I have different things. I did put a link to these. I found these, and these are really nice. They're not from here. It's some company I've never heard of from another country. But I like them. I put a link. They're kind of pricey. It's 3 for $25. I view that as pricey. But I don't want to write on thin paper. I have to have a nice thick paper, and I want it to be something that my pen can move slowly across. I don't want that shiny paper that it just, you know. So I will show you, like, this is a nice thick paper, and I write out some Bible verses and stuff on here, and there's almost no ghosting on this either. This is the back side of that. But realize that this is the back side of that. And this is written with a felt tip pen. So that really tells you a lot about it. This is another thing from a prophet that you should all be listening to. We should all be listening to. Here's a modern day prophet. Isaiah. Again, Isaiah. Because these people approach me with empty words, and the honor they bestow on me is mere lip service, while in fact they have distanced their heart from me, and their fear of me is merely a commandment of human origin. Therefore, I will have to keep shocking these people with astounding and amazing things until the wisdom of their wise ones vanishes and the discernment of their discerning ones is hidden away. We have to realize that this is speaking to believers. He was not speaking to the Gentiles of the time. He was speaking to Israel. He was speaking to God's chosen people. All of this, we take these things where the Father is speaking to those who call themselves His children, and we try to apply them to the world, to people in the world who are not even in covenant with Him. And we're supposed to be applying them to ourselves. And that's exactly why we are where we are today. So yeah, you want a prophet? Open up Isaiah. Don't open up YouTube. Don't open up Facebook. These prophets, our prophets today, have proven false. Open up this. If we continue to follow someone who is proven false, you know, I had somebody recently, wonderful believer, wonderful hearted believer. She asked me if I followed this one teacher, best-selling author, and I said, oh, you know, I said, no, I don't follow them. And she's like, really? You don't follow them? They've written these books. You know, he's written this and this and this. I said, yeah, I've read one of his books. You don't follow him? I said, no, I don't follow him. Really? And they were just completely astounded. And I'm thinking, yeah, I've read his book. I saw that he's leading people to follow a different gospel. And he's made these predictions that have proven false, and so now I'm not going to follow him. But I didn't come out and tell her that because she had set her heart to follow that person, and I recognized that she wouldn't hear this from me. She was not. A lot of times people aren't looking for wisdom or opinion. They're looking for validation. And I realize that I don't know someone's heart and spirit, but I know when someone proves himself to be false that I'm not going to follow or listen to them. I'm not going to hear their wisdom because it's proven to be their own wisdom and not of God. But at the same time, I don't want to openly, I don't want to risk slandering people and stuff. And I know that if we follow the Father, He'll shine this light on for all of us. So, but there's different, anyway, we won't get into that. Okay, that was that one. So I also, for pens, I use a lot of felt tip pens. I really love felt tip pens. I love bold point. A lot of people like fine point. One of my favorite things to do is find a new ink pen to try. Last week I spent $2.67 on ink pens and just had the time of my life. So, yeah. I look for a thicker paper. If you'll ever see, I'll show you my traveler's notebook sometime where I write a lot of notes, personal journal and things in. And I make those notebooks. I buy the weight of paper I like and I cut them out. I have a video where I show how to make notebooks and stuff too. I'll share that sometime. But I just always look for a thicker paper. I also like the quality of paper. I don't want it to be that shiny paper that's glossy because it's harder to write on that. And then I choose my pen. Yes, I love Flair pens. They still make those. The link for the notebooks, please. It's up above, and you get 3 of them for $25. And that's a really good notebook. I was surprised to find what a nice notebook that was. Okay, this is from another Amy. I never knew any Amy's until fellowship group, and now I have so many Amy friends. It's from Amy Whitehead. She said, I hope you're having a good day. This is what I know about you. You love music. Here's my question. Do you have a praise and worship playlist that you could share with the Front Porch Fellowship group? Okay, that is also assuming. Amy, you bought a traveler's note. Oh, you'll have to see. I have several videos on that. Email me, wholeheartedcj@gmail.com, and I'll send you some information on that. Do you have okay, I love that, again, Amy thinks highly of me. She shows me far more grace than I deserve. She always has. And I really appreciate that about her. And I try to model that with others too. But I'm not organized enough to have a playlist. I do love music, and that usually manifests itself in me singing pretty much constantly all day long. If I'm not singing out loud, I'm singing in my head. And I sing very obscure songs. All week I've been singing this song I learned in first grade about people going their own way and leaning on their own wisdom and thinking that everything's going to be fine because it's their own wisdom, and they're just ignoring the fallout around them. I learned that song in first grade. Isn't that funny? The other day I had one of my proudest moments. My baby girl walked into the kitchen singing this song that I sing all the time, that is just like this very obscure lyrics, and she knew all of it, and I started singing and we harmonized and sang it. I'm like, I'm so proud of you. I need to talk to you about teenagers in this Bible study too. Can somebody remind me to do that? So I have very different taste in music from my husband. I generally don't listen to music unless it is music made by people of faith, music that honors the Father. That's one of the things that really made a difference in my mental health. I don't even know. I have a radio in my car. The other day I decided I wanted to listen to a radio station. I couldn't even find a radio station. I don't know if they still have radio stations where you can just like tune in your car without having like one of those satellite things or something. I don't have that. So I don't listen to music in the car hardly unless I'm just singing. I really like Kirk Franklin. I like Kirk Franklin. I like gospel music that has, that has some pain behind it. that has some overcoming behind it. I like that a lot because that's what I relate to. I'm going to do a talk sometime coming up about depression and the things that I do to stay on top of that and how I overcame it, how I climbed out of that pit. I had to claw myself out of that pit, and it was a several-year process. I like Kirk Franklin. I like Joshua Aaron. And I don't really know a lot of other people. I don't really know a lot of other things to listen to. But I tend to like, I like gospel music that has some pain and some overcoming and some rising up to it. I do know every word to the Hamilton soundtrack. I will tell you that. I will admit that. I like Broadway. Now that's not gospel centered. That's from I just like Broadway stuff. Now I will tell you also that I have this really weird ability to remember anything if it's put to music. My husband will tell you this. Like I said, I remember song lyrics from kindergarten. And so if it's put to music, I'll remember it and I'll eventually sing. That's how I got through so much of college. I was a nursing major for a long time. And I had one of my tests in physiology, I had to know every bone and every muscle in the human body. And so I made up a song and I remembered them all. I want to talk to you about teenagers. A lot of y'all have kids who are in your family and you're asking how they can take part in a Bible study, or do I recommend a Bible study for them? And this is something I even talked to my daughter about yesterday. I don't think we give kids enough credit. I think we need to treat kids, kids believe what you tell them, whether it be your words or your actions. And when you tell a kid they're smart, they believe they're smart. This is something I learned in my teaching life. When you tell a kid they're smart, they believe they're smart. If you tell a kid they're stupid, they're going to believe they're stupid. I'm not saying anybody in here is telling their kids they're stupid. But I think we need to, I think younger kids, I would say even 9 or 10, if they're good readers, would be great in this Bible study. My daughter, a couple years ago, she would download the notes on her phone, and she would read through every day. She was going through my Bible notes. She just ate through my Bible notes, and she loved them. She would ask me questions in the morning. She'd say, "Mama, can you send me more notes? Can you send me more notes?" She didn't have Facebook at the time, and it was all on Facebook at the time. And so she would tell me what she needed, and I would send her like a couple days of notes each night before bed, and she'd just plow through them. So excited and loved it. And so really, I think give them the Bible. Don't give them a watered down version. Give them the Bible. Read through it. Let them go through the notes. I think it's a great alternative for kids and stuff. A great option for them. Yeah, Shannon says reading through the Bible is the best thing we have ever done. And I will tell you, if you think, don't be scared. If you think there's contradictions in the Bible that you're going to have a hard time reconciling and explaining to your kids, when you get started with this Bible study, you'll see that there aren't. Any contradictions you think are there, it's a lack. It's when things have been taken out of context. When you read it in context, when you begin in the beginning, when you start with that foundational knowledge and you build on that, the Bible never contradicts itself, and it always proves true. So don't be scared. Trust in Him, but trust in His Word enough and revere Him enough to read His whole Word in order to allow it to build. Yesterday, somebody had a question. A friend contacted me because their grown child had a question about Paul, and something didn't make sense because they had what are all these? There's a lot of there's a lot of YouTube links coming up here, and I don't know what's happening. Let me make sure this is. Let me make sure this is on the up and up. Let me see here. Y'all help me out here. Somebody click on a link and let me know if we're having some spam happening in the group or not, if I need to take care of that. Because I'm seeing a lot of different things here. A lot of different things. Yeah, I think we may be having some spam. Let me... Oh, no, wait. Oh, okay, I got you. Okay, good. Thank you, Christine. She's posting worship music links. Thank you. I don't see that on this end. I'm on the back end looking, and I just see a bunch of links, and I don't see what they're going to or anything. So I'm thinking, has somebody gotten the group? And they're just, okay. I didn't know if maybe your account had been hacked or something. No, you're fine. Thank you so much. And I love that you did that, and I'll check those out later. I just want you to, on my link, on my end, all I see is just a bunch of links coming up, and I'm thinking, what's happening? Because we do have that happen sometimes, generally not in this group. But in my former life, before I retired, no, you're fine, sister. Before I retired, I had a big Facebook page, a little over 300,000 people. And I would do Facebook Lives, and you would have some people go in there, and it was, I would be quietly talking to people, and I'd just be quietly banning people on my screen. You would be amazed at the things that were posted. Yes, Lori, she says, whenever I used to think it was a contradiction, I eventually realized I was wrong. You're fine, Christine. Thank you for doing that. That was very sweet of you to share those. I look forward to listening today. Yeah, I saw, there was a great quote by Francis Chan that was shared a lot lately, and it said, whenever I come across something in the Bible that I disagree with, I have to realize that I'm wrong. So if you try to read Paul and you think he contradicts, it's because you can't build a house beginning in the attic. It's never going to stand. You have to start with the foundation. And then once you build your way up to the attic works. It makes sense. Okay, so, here's some more. And I'm sorry, y'all. I'm going long here. This is the last one. This is, and I don't see the name on this. It's probably on my email. But it says, I was just reading a book I recommended, by Jonathan Sacks called Morality. I just got done reading that maybe a month or so ago. It was a wonderful book. Seems like it's going to be well worth the reading. Thank you for the suggestion. Also, he passed away on November 3rd. Very suddenly. He passed away. I enjoyed his books. He was he was a good man. Questions for the video chat. She said, if you bought it online, please provide a bit more information and a link for the plastic box that you house your index cards in. This is what she's talking about. If y'all follow me on my personal Facebook page or my Instagram, which you're welcome to, you see that I write a lot of scripture cards, and a lot of people's asked me where I put those cards. I put them in here. I file them. So I'll put a link up above. I did buy this on Amazon. I wanted to show you something else that I have. I have a link to this too. This is just a little thing I keep in my purse that has, I have my pen in here I have a bunch of index cards, my pen, and that way if I go somewhere I have a few minutes, I like to be always moving forward. So if I have a few minutes, I can write out some scriptures and things that I want to. When I'm done, these are ones that I'm ready to file from this week. I'll just tuck them back in here, and then when I have time, I'll sit down and I'll file them in the big file. So I like this because I can just keep it in my purse and do that. The pens that I did not put this pen up there, this link. I'll put a link. This is the pen I like to write these with. I like felt tip pens, and it's just a Pigma Micron. And it's just a felt tip pen. So I'll put those there. She said also, what is Huntsville, Alabama like? I like knowing where people live and why. It helps me to get to know them better. And learning about other places is far more rewarding that way than researching online. I am from Huntsville, Alabama. I live in Huntsville, Alabama. I am an anomaly in Huntsville, Alabama, because most people are not from here. Yeah, Christine says they do bleed through thinner paper, though. Not good for Bibles. Yes, they're not good for Bibles. Actually, Sharpie pens, not Sharpies, but Sharpie pens don't bleed through your Bibles. So check those out, too. So Huntsville, I love Huntsville. Obviously, Huntsville is it's a little bubble in the South because most people from Huntsville are not from Huntsville. We have Marshall Space Flight Center here. So we have NASA, we have Redstone Arsenal, we have Boeing, we have that guy Jeff Bezos. He has a big company here now called Blue Origin, which is very near me. I drive by it very often. My husband, Huntsville is the space program. And that's the industry my husband's in as well. And we have more advanced degrees per capita here than any other place, I think, in the world. So pretty much everybody in Huntsville, you're either a rocket scientist, or you work for one, or you're married to one. My husband is actually, he's leading one of the teams that's designing the, they're calling it the Moonlander, which I hate that. And because I call it the next shuttle. But Ricky says you can't call it a shuttle, it's a Moonlander, because they're designing it and they don't know if it's going to be a shuttle or a rocket. But when you say Moonlander, to me, that's the little car that drives around on the moon. What it actually is the vehicle that takes people from the Earth to the moon. So that's why they're calling it the Moonlander. And I call it the shuttle, and that's the extent of the arguments in our house, which we both just laugh. But Huntsville is a beautiful town. We have all the benefits and the advantages of a big city without the drawbacks. We don't have when Ricky and I first got married, so I imported him from Georgia, and on his first ride home from work, he called, and he was used to working in Atlanta. And in Atlanta, you could take 2 to 3 hours to get home, depending on the traffic. I mean, you could live 20 minutes away and take 2 or 3 hours to get there. Anybody who knows vaguely Atlanta traffic understands that. But he called. He said, well, I'm leaving work, but I don't know what time I'll be home. I said, well, what do you mean you don't know what time you'll be home? Are you stopping somewhere? He's like, no, I just don't know what the traffic is like. I thought, oh, traffic may hold you back 10 minutes tops if it's during rush hour. So we also have the U.S. Space Museum here. There's just a lot of really neat things here. I love Huntsville. It's a very friendly town. Multicultural, a lot of different cultures here. And it's very much a melting pot. I think Huntsville is like a nice little, kind of almost a nice little sampling of what the United States is like, the best of it. And I really enjoy all the different cultures we get to take part of, all the different foods and experiences and things we can have. And we're getting to Trader Joe's soon, so I'll leave it at that. No, Molly says, I know it's still early. I'm so excited. Is a January reading schedule posted yet? It is not, because Ricky's got to do that. And I keep telling him, and I will get on him to try to do that this weekend. We just got a lot that we're doing with our house right now. And so everything is kind of in upheaval. Lisa asked a really good question. Where do you live, Shannon? Let me see if she said. Oh, no, that's not her email. Yes, Beverly says 5 of my 6 kids were born in Huntsville. Yes, you do need to plan a field trip, Shannon. We actually hope, we weren't able to do it this year, but last year we had a Front Porch Fellowship picnic in Huntsville. And it was a family reunion weekend. And I hope to be able to do that next year as well. A lot of people came in from all over the country, and Ricky led a tour through the U.S. Space Museum. Every time Ricky goes to the Space Museum, people think that he works there because he knows so much. And he ends up with a group of people following him, even if he just went with us and he's leading them through. We went to my favorite taco place, and we met together. We had a picnic, we had music, we had fellowship. It was so exciting to get to meet people, and I'm hoping we'll be able to do that again next year. If we do, it will be in October. It was just a great celebration of finishing up reading through the whole Bible and getting to put faces, getting to actually meet people in this community that we had read with. And next year, I hope that we can meet together and have Bible study, have fellowship, have devotions, hang out in Huntsville, do all kinds of fun things. So it is beautiful. We do really love Huntsville. Becky's from Huntsville, born and raised. Yes, lots of engineering. Everybody's an engineer here. Everybody's an engineer. I am married to an engineer. So, anyway, I hope that answered your question. Yes, we are going to... I'm so excited about having a Trader Joe's. So, that finalizes my chat for the day. I have kept y'all... I don't even know if I can repost this later, because this has been almost 2 hours. I'm sorry. Barbara says Ricky needs to come visit Kennedy Space Center. That is Ricky's dream in life, is to go to Kennedy Space Center. And Phil and Barb have offered to take him. And if it wasn't for our current situation in the world today, We were planning on going immediately. We actually have plans to go. Ricky and I and our friends Tom and Donna, who are also admins in the group, we're hoping to get to go hang out with Phil and Barb as soon as possible, as soon as it is remotely safe to do so. Again, because in our universe, it's not. I realize that in a lot of universes it is, and I'm glad for y'all, and I love you. I have no issue with, like I said, I just love you. I just want you to read the Bible. Becky says, my daddy's an engineer. Of course he is. If you're in Huntsville, of course he is. Huntsville, is it rural or is it city life? Somebody from Huntsville help me explain this, because I'm thinking. Yes. Yes, it is. No, it's very much, it's rural city life. Dwight, you've been here. What would you say? I don't know. I think it's more, it's really a blend of both. It's really a blend. That's a hard question to answer. Yes, I did link to my Bible in the description, but I have a link to it. Good to see you, Kelly. Yeah, it's a good mixture. Like right now we live, I don't know. You can be in the middle of the city and in 10 minutes be in the middle of the country, and in 5 minutes be in the city again. And, so it's just kind of all over the place. But it is. It's not too big. Not a lot of city life. Well, all the advantages of city life, but not the disadvantages of city life. And it can be very quiet and peaceful, and the people are good people. The people are really good people here. I think we have a really strong sense of community, especially I think the fact that we have people from so many different parts of the country and the world, and so many different cultures, so many different walks of life. We really have a great love and appreciation for humanity here. Just at large, we have a really good sense of community. I really enjoyed that about Huntsville. Yeah, so it's very different. Yeah, laid back city life. That's a good way of putting it, Kelly. Laid back city life. Laid back city life. Yeah, I like that. We have the amazing tacos. Y'all, we've got some great tacos. So, you'll hear me. If y'all come for the family reunion weekend, you'll be eating tacos with me. It will happen. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Virginia. I really appreciate that. I worry about this. I didn't mean this to be so long, so I guess I'll still share it. I'm going to upload it to YouTube for people who want to see it later, but I don't know if I'll share it publicly outside the group, but I'll give you all YouTube link. Is there a Ukrainian community in Huntsville? I don't personally know. Well, actually, I do know. Yes, there is. I can pretty much guarantee you there is a sub community for every part of the world here, and we all consider them part of the greater community as well. Yes, oh my goodness. Beverly says it's a good mixture. I love driving and seeing fields of Alabama snow. That is when our cotton fields are in full bloom around September. And there's this place, I love it. There's a place called Research Park. Y'all raise your hands if you know what I'm talking about. And that's where all these that's where the Amazon, the Blue Origin, and all the big company building, these big space industry buildings are. And there'll be these buildings, and there's cotton fields all around them and stuff. And it's absolutely beautiful. I love it. So yeah, that's Alabama snow. And oh, Michelle, you are tempting me horrible. I'm hungry. She said, I miss Sam's Club hot dog. Yes, I love me a Sam's Club hot dog too. That's one of my favorite things. Let's see. Good to see you, Kathy. Tim, yes. Tim is right, y'all. Tim is a man of great wisdom. He said, everyone says Taco Tuesday. I say tacos every day. Y'all got to come here and go to Shaggy's with me and get a crunchy beef taco. Barbara says the link to the notebook is not showing up. Let me see. I know I put that up there. I may have hit one thing wrong. I don't see it here. I'm sorry. I will add that as soon as I finish this. Oh, here's the link. It didn't make it in there. I'm going to add it to the top right now. And then I'll finish up this chat. There, I just added it to the top. The notebook I'm using right now is what it says. They come in a 3-pack. Hands raised. Yes, we adopted. I know we have some friends who, well, growing up I had some friends who adopted some children from the Ukraine as well. Good morning. Looking forward to Shaggy's. So are you going to be able to come to Fellowship Weekend? The Father willing, and I think by next October, I think we will be fine, and we will have our big Fellowship Weekend again. And it was wonderful. I really enjoyed getting to meet all of y'all. We had a great picnic. I will probably do things a little differently in terms of the picnic this year, depending on where we are in the pandemic. This year I was going to try to still do it and me just provide all the food and stuff. But we ended up not being able to do it. So we'll see. But it's going to be a great weekend. Kelly says Shaggy was our son's favorite when he was younger. Oh, you're talking about Shaggy. Okay, you're not talking about Shaggy's tacos. Anyway, I love y'all. Thank y'all for hanging in there with me. I would like to ask a favor of you. Let me know. I would like to do a coffee chat every week leading up to the start of the Bible study. After that, we will do coffee chats weekly based on what we're reading in the Bible and things. Yes, Shannon, I was too. She said I was really looking forward to it before the craziness. I was too. But the Father's going to redeem this. I know He is. I missed you too, Beverly. So let me know what you would like to have coffee chats about. What else you would like me to talk about. I know I need to do one about the accountability trains. Next week, most people are doing Thanksgiving in some form. We're in the in some form category. We're not doing our traditional Thanksgiving, but we're doing it in some form. The Father has He has given us an opportunity for a new experience this year, and we're looking forward to that. And so next week I'm probably going to do a video where I'm going to be going over the rules of the group and why they are what they are. I may decide to do something entirely differently, but I would like your ideas of things you would like to talk about. Be encouraged, get excited, mark your calendars for January 1st. Mark your calendars because your life is about to change. We are going to become followers. We're going to go from believers to followers. And if you're already a follower, you're going to become a better follower because you cannot follow Him unless you read His book. And reading the Bible has changed everything about my life, and I know it will do the same to you. I love y'all very much, and I will see you soon. Y'all have a wonderful week. I'm going to start recording audio today for the Bible notes. So y'all have got me so jazzed and so excited about that. If you would like to email me, my email address is wholeheartedcj@gmail.com. And may the Father richly bless you this week, and may we bring more honor and glory to our King in all that we do. See you soon. Bye-bye.